Yo, what's going on? Guess I'm back to doing a bit of YouTube again. So I had quite a bit of a break between the last video and now. To be honest, there's no real reason. I'm just basically finding it a bit hard to get used to recording TikTok videos, Instagram videos, and now YouTube. YouTube is quite taxing, but I thought I'd give it another go and see if I can stay consistent this time and deliver some proper good content. So this video is basically going to be another one to shoot what I'm doing in a weekend, how does the business run, what jobs have I got going on. So I had a car in yesterday which I've got a little bit of footage on. That was a BMW 430 Grand Coupe diesel. That one was in yesterday for a set of discs and pads all round. It's been in with me previously for a service, and I just basically advised him that the brakes are basically on their way out, and I think the brake wear sensor tripped probably a month or so after I mentioned it to him. So pretty good timing. So that came in yesterday. That was a bit of a task actually, because majority of the wheel nuts were actually really massively over tightened. So I had a bit of a task trying to get them off. I actually ended up going out and getting a turbo socket to get most of them off. Today's job, which is a BMW M4. So I've got all the parts behind me, which I'll show you in a minute. So this one's in for a full service followed by a set of replacement brake pads. The customer's supplied some EBC yellow stuff pads, well, will be supplying when he turns up. And then tomorrow I've got a Audi A6 all-road, which is in for a full service and a gearbox service. So this one's got the S-tronic box on this one rather than ZF, so it's the early model. So it'll be the first one I'm actually going to be doing, but to be fair, I can't see it being much different from like a ZF itself. You know, it's still going to be the same. Drain the gearbox, drop the sump, change the gasket, change the filter, blah 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 blah. So you know, can't see it being too much different, but it will see. It'll be nice to get some footage on that. And then on the next job after that is a Mercedes A-Class, which is just going to be in for a bog standard full service. So yeah, I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I've got going on, capture some footage. There is not really a bit of an update on the 3 Series. Having said, yeah, hey, there is and there isn't. So I don't know if in the last video, I'll have to check myself whether I mentioned anything about the banner solenoids, but my god, they were a bit of a pain. So finally got them done, and we can move on to the remaining items on the car. So I've got a big box over there full of parts. It's been sitting there for months with nothing done to the car whatsoever. So I guess it's time to start getting that done and getting that on the road again. So so yeah, let's have a look. I've just got done editing a TikTok video, so that'll be going live in a little while. Little sneak peek. That's enough of that. So yeah, I'm going to be posting that one shortly. See, the thing is, like, managing YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, doing the work, getting new customers, invoicing, this, that and the other, on top of my regular day job, can all get really, really hard with the added pressure of getting married later this year. You know, it's a real big task. So I've had a lot going on this year, but I really want to get into doing a little bit more YouTube now, because I think this will really show like what's actually involved in running a business like this. How difficult is it running this as a side hustle with a regular 9 to 5 still at the same time? So I think it'd be a good insight. So let me walk you around some of the parts and let's see what's going on. So here we've got the parts here. So this is the BMW M4. We're going to go with man filters, and I've got some brake wear sensors for those new EBC pads. New sump plug. I always want to change the sump plug on the service regardless, you know, just for peace of mind. We're going with Comet oil. People might hate me for using Comet oil, but I like the stuff, and you know what? It's actually completely fine, because you can see it's even got the approval for BMW's OE spec Long Life 04. So it's absolutely fine. Then we've got the stuff over here, which is the Mercedes A-Class coming in a day or two's time. So we're going with Bosch filters, which is like the stuff I use 99% of the time. Again, use sump plug, and we're going with Granville 030 oil on this one. Shout out to Central Auto Parts, my guys. Try and use local providers where I can, support businesses and that. And then over here we've got the stuff for the Audi A6. So combination of Bosch and Blueprint parts, and we've got manual 504, 507 spec oil. Again, it meets manufacturer specs, so it's absolutely fine. I've got an opinion that you know, more frequent changes and when you're keeping on top of maintenance ahead of sort of your manufacturer's spec service intervals is more important than using high quality parts, I think. So that's just me. We've got a male kit here for the gearbox and the S-tronic. Inside there contains the gaskets, the oil, new plugs, new bolts to go around the sump, filters and a couple of other bits. And I've got a big load of mess around here which I need to tidy up at one point. So that's the parts. Now hopefully the M4 should be turning up any minute, so let's go and check if it's here. Yo! There it is. I would be lying if I said I was expecting it in this colour, but my god, how good does this look? You know, personally I'm not really a fan, or haven't usually been a fan of F-Series M cars. Well, that's a bit generic. Maybe like the F80 and F82, M3 and M4. But that's because I'm just seeing them on the road and not looking at it in the flesh and driving it. But my god, when you sit in one of these, there's something about it. I just don't get it. Absolutely just don't get it. But yep, this is it. So first things first, while the car's warm, I'm going to probably do the service first. So I'm going to get the car in the air and get the oil drain, change all the filters, give it a good check over. I think there's a couple of other bits that he's asked me to do as well. Apparently it's getting a bit of a creaking noise when he's steering, and according to forums or whatever he's looked at, it's actually due to the pinch bolt on the struts at the front. So a little bit of cleaning, greasing should maybe solve the problem, but I'll give it a little bit of a check over myself and see if that makes sense to me. Just can't get over how this looks. It's different in person, I'm telling you, it's different in person. He's actually given me the pads, which are over here, as well as my Amazon order that turned up at the same time. But yep, EBC yellow stuff pads. I've got the sensors inside, and let's get it done, I guess. That's the M4 all serviced, and I'm now moving on to the brakes. So I've already made a start and I've done the passenger front. You can see the yellow stuff pads sitting nicely in there, all cleaned out with a brand new sensor, wheel torque back up to spec. What I have also done as well is, because the customers requested me to do this, apparently F8X M2s, 3s and 4s suffer from creaking when you turn left and right at the front. Apparently that's due to the pinch bolt on the struts. So I have taken out the pinch bolt on here, given it a clean, given it a bit of grease, and put it back in again. So I've got to do the same thing on that side as well. But now let's move on to the rears first and do these pads over here. So that's 3 out of 4 brakes done, 1 left to go, just the driver's side front. Honestly, I think the more time I spend with this car, the more I'm really liking it. Like I said, I don't usually like, or I never thought I'd be a fan of F-Series M cars, like M2s, 3s and 4s, maybe the M2. I was really fan, I can't even speak. I was really a big fan of the M2. Like, I like real, like small, powerful short wheelbase cars, especially coupes, and there's not really many in the market apart from really an M2, other than my 135i, which is now gone. But yeah, I can definitely see myself in something like this, maybe a bigger car. But like, if this is how nice an F series is, I wonder how nice up close and personal like a G80 would be. Absolutely insane. All right, let's get this last one done. That is the M4 99% finished. The only things left to do now is clean up after myself, update the iDrive, put everything back together, give the customer a call, and you can come take it away. Right. Oh, why is this taking me so long today? There's so many like phone calls and interruptions throughout the day. Sometimes I wish I could just have a secretary or something that could just take over for me. It is 4:30. I would usually expect to be done on a job like this, say 2:30 from 9 o'clock if they arrive on time. They came probably by 9:30, so it is a bit behind schedule. I've had a couple of inquiries which I will have to get done in the week. So yeah, right, let's get this M4 all wrapped up and we can get the customer to come collect it. Ruben,
yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, sick man. You just recording me all on my phone, man?
Yeah, man.
Oh, there we go.
All nice and full. Just get the iDrive reset and it's good to go. Ruben, do you want one of these?
Huh?
Would you have one of these?
What, GoPro?
No, the car.
Yeah, of course.
What do you prefer, M3 or M4? Right, if you had to have any car right now, what would you choose?
P1.
P1?
Yeah.
McLaren? Okay, if you had to have any 4-door saloon, what would you have?
Ford Saloon.
4-door saloon. like a car with 4 doors, you know, like a car this shape, this size. You've got a C63, you've got an M4, you've got an M5, you've got an RS3 saloon, you've got like you said a Rolls Royce, you've got a Bentley Flying Spur. Rolls Royce?
Looks sick.
I'd go Bentley over Rolls Royce.
I think.
Right, let's teach this kid a little bit about cars. Let's test his knowledge, because apparently he's pretty good with his cars. Right, tell me where the DPF is.
What's that?
I can't tell you that.
I don't know.
Have a guess. If I said point to the DPF, what do you think DPF looks like? That?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I just think it looked like what a DPS would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you another question. What do you think a DPF is?
I don't know.
Okay. If I told you the first word is diesel, where would you then look?
Around here.
Why would you still looking at the car for?
On my date.
Right. Okay, I'll give you one more chance. Tell me where the air filter is. I'll give you a clue.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them.
It's 2.
There's 2. Very good. Now here's a bonus question.
Yeah.
Why is it 2?
So better combustion in the engine.
I like your train of thought.
Huh?
However, it's simpler than that.
What is it?
There's 2 turbos.
Is there?
Twin turbo.
Where?
One there.
Yeah.
And one there.
Oh, sick.
What'd you say 6 for?
Huh?
What? You believe anything, man?
Huh?
They're buried all the way down here. You can't really see them. They're just somewhere down there. You ain't gonna see them though.
Yeah, I can't.
Can you see them here? No. But trust me, they're there.
Alright.
Right, anyway, you failed.
Well.
Right guys, next day. So today, as I mentioned yesterday, in the early part of the video, I mentioned I would have an Audi A6 all-road in for a full service and a gearbox service. However, this is probably just the nature of the game and maybe a lesson I need to start taking when it comes to like taking deposits and things. I've had a bit of a no-show. So the customer has mentioned to me this morning that he's having issues kind of getting a lift to give his car to me to leave it here, and basically hasn't come in contact with me for the last couple of hours. So it's a bit annoying, you know, when you've got parts and things that you spent money on sitting here. But yeah, what can we do, I guess. So that one's no longer happening, so I'll have to see what's going on with that one. But in the meantime, I had a call from a random customer that's just found me on Google or something for this Jaguar XF 3-litre V6. So he's complaining of an oil leak, so he's looking to get it diagnosed to see where the problem is. He's mentioned it's happened for a couple of days or something now. I've asked him whether it's been recently serviced, because the first thing that came to my mind was maybe the sump washer hasn't been tightened up properly or something, which he said it hasn't been serviced in quite a while, which is still not a very good sign. But given it is a 2010, I'm assuming it's going to be something like a failed gasket or something like that. That's probably starting to perish, etc. So let's get the front end of the car up into the air and let's see what we can find. Big man thing, yeah. It's not looking good, bruh. Right guys, so I think I've had a bit of a breakthrough with this car. So I came up top to have a look at the highest point from where I can see any oil pooling or trickling down or leaking from. He hadn't been serviced in a while, which is what the guy said to me, the owner of the car. So I thought I'd just have a quick look, given it's right in plain sight, the oil filter seal. So I thought, go down to this area here. And as soon as I got to this area, I noticed something a little bit interesting. If you go further in, if I shine the torch, there's a lot of rust, and you can probably see some coolant residue around there. And if I remember correctly, or if I'm not wrong, the oil cooler is situated around this sort of area as well. From my experience anyway, the oil cooler and the oil filter housing is usually either part of the same component or very near to each other. So then I had a quick look around the area, and I don't know if you're going to see, but just down in that area there, can you see it? Get further in, it's quite hard to see. Let's get these fucking lines out of the way. Just down there is quite a large puddle of oil. I don't know if you're going to see it, but you can probably see the residue at least. So I kind of got a feeling that it's a failed oil cooler or gasket, but most likely the cooler. I don't know, could be the gasket, it is likely. But anyway, this area here would need to be stripped to find out exactly where the problem is, and either replace the gasket or the cooler. But that's kind of where my thinking's bringing me to. There's nothing else I can really think of that would make any more sense than that. At first I thought it was crank seal because the entirety of the gearbox, or like that area, was covered in oil. But then the further up I looked, the further I could see oil coming from, so it didn't make any sense anymore. So it's got to be coming from higher up. So now that I can see puddles of oil in that area and also coolant near it, that's sort of where my thinking's bringing me to. So let's give the customer a shout and see if he wants to come and collect his car and take it from there. Probably important to mention at this point how far that I can go with running this kind of business as a side hustle, because there's a fine line between doing maintenance and doing sort of repairs. Some things you consider maintenance, some things you don't. Things like failed gaskets and stuff, you could argue that they are maintenance because they're not always going to be a lifelong item. You know, a gasket will perish in time due to no fault of the owner or any misuse of the car or whatever. It is something that is going to, you know, perish. Same thing with like suspension bushings or shock absorbers or tires. All these kind of things are still considered, realistically, if you think about it, maintenance. But there is a fine line between, you know, how many things I can actually do and how many things I would have to just refer. So there's a couple of things, right? So one of them is obviously skill set. Have I got the skills to be able to do this and run this as a side hustle? Probably yes. Have I got the time? Probably no. Have I got the experience? Probably not. The experience has never really stopped me before because I feel like I'm quite mechanically inclined. I can probably figure things out, and I've so far, touch wood, that's always, you know, sort of worked out. But this might be something where sort of it's going to take up more time than I have, and it might actually put other jobs at risk as well. So yeah, I think this one might be a referral. So the good thing is, where I have jobs that require more work or more time or whatever that I can't physically give it, this is why it's important that I've had to build up a bit of a network of people that can. So there is another garage that I tend to refer work to in Wolverhampton, known as New Cross Motor Company. Absolutely phenomenal garage. The guys are extremely knowledgeable, extremely competent. The garage is, you know, it's 10/10. If you go there and have a look at it yourself, you can see that they take pride in what they do. I've been working with them for quite a while and actually used to be a customer of theirs, and that's the kind of place I usually refer larger jobs to that I can't take on. So I think this one's going to be exactly another one. So Ankush, if you're watching this, you might see this Jag soon. But yeah, let's give the customer a call and see what he wants to do from here. So the Jaguar's been collected, and I've given him a few recommendations on which garages to take it to. He'll probably just give a call on Monday, which is tomorrow, and see what happens. So tomorrow I've got one more car for this sort of weekend, if you like, which is that Mercedes A-Class. That one's actually not too far away. Actually, I think it's only up the road. It's actually one of the owners of one of the local corner shops, Premier, I think it is. So yeah, that'll be tomorrow morning. I'll get that one done. That'll be nice and straightforward service, and then I can get the parts refunded on the Audi that didn't turn up today. So really annoyed about that actually, because I don't usually get cancellations or no shows very often. It doesn't really happen, but then in the last couple of weeks I've had it twice, which is really weird. So yeah, I think it's going to be important that I take deposits off people, because then I just don't get messed around. You know, it's just, I don't think people realize the impact of what it has on, especially like a small business like me, that's managing another 9 to 5 with everything else. It's quite difficult. So yeah, I guess I need to be a little bit stricter with things. So it's now Monday. I've just I've just received the keys to the next car, which I've got this weekend, which is for this Mercedes A-Class right here. So we get it to something for a full service, major service, whatever the hell you want to call it. Oils and all the filters, new sump plug, and that's it. Probably the easier one out of the jobs I've had all this weekend. They've all been fairly involved in comparison to this anyway. But this one, as I mentioned, I think in the last part or in the video, that this is actually a customer from up the road who owns one of the off licenses. So it's a good friend actually, because known him for a fair while, and then obviously he's caught on to the fact that I do all this kind of stuff via Instagram, TikTok, social media. So he's decided to book in with me and give me a try, and hopefully if I can prove to him that I'm just as good, if not better, than the competition around here, then it's going to be a future customer going forward, and I'll probably look after the rest of their cars as well. So yeah, let's as always give this the best that I've got, and let's go. Just also thought I would address one thing as well. When it comes to servicing, it isn't just a case of changing oils and filters and then resetting the service light and off you go. And I know that I put a lot of these kind of videos out there, and that might be the perception of what it actually is, but there is some stuff that I do right at the beginning to check that the car is in a healthy condition and make sure it's all working properly, there's no faults, there's no safety issues, etc, etc. So that's also considered part of a service. It's not just a matter of changing oils and filters and then see you later, mate. You know, you've got to make sure that the car is in a healthy condition, because, you know, on a yearly basis, a lot of things can happen on a yearly basis. Tires can wear down, brakes can be worn out, coolant levels can drop, faults may arise on the dashboard, causing problems later on, especially in the cases of these things, diesels, where we've got EGR valves, DPFs, that probably in this case I would assume does quite a lot of local miles. You know, all these things have got to be sort of at least checked and make sure that they're in healthy condition. So I will actually put a few clips in at the beginning now of what we do, or what I do, to do a health check on the car before doing a service. So if I bring you over to Alpha Auto's HQ and then go onto the PC that I've got here. So this is a template that I've used for another car already. This is a Ford Fiesta. So there are some highlight comments at the top for things that need to be addressed and want to capture their attention straight away. But the whole thing is split into 4 sections. So there's interior, exterior, under bonnet, and under body checks. So on each of these things, it's basically set out similar to the way that a MOT would get tested, or as much of an MOT as I can possibly test, which is why I've done it in this way, because I also use these for like pre-MOT inspections and stuff. Not that I get many of them, but I tend to do these things in combination with services. So I thought while I'm packing up, now that the car's back around the front just to get collected, that I might quickly show you my like work from home setup. So this room, for context, is probably about as big as like the space within like a Mercedes Sprinter or like a VW Crafter, but I've got everything in a way that it's accessible and as minimal clutter as possible. So if I start on the left, there's a 5-foot racking just here, which I use for like valeting and detailing stuff. Less so the detailing, more the valeting side of things. The main stuff I use is like infinity racks, because I just can't rate their products highly enough. Then I've got a workbench which is actually collapsible. There's two hinges on the bottom which have got a button on it, and they can fold completely flat, but I don't really ever fold that flat because I've got so much stuff on it. Gearbox filler up top on a separate shelf with the attachments for different gearboxes in the case behind it. I've got a wall here where I've put all like the tools that I need on a sort of relatively regular basis. So a big syringe, variation of hammers, coolant concentration tester, pliers, and hose clamps. Then I've got, well, this one I've actually inherited off my dad, which is actually an old school snap-on toolkit. In fact, most of the snap-on stuff is actually gone now though, because it was, I think it was stolen or thrown away. I think my mum threw half the stuff away quite a while ago. But this one is mine. I've got the Halfords Professional before it was professional, now it's advanced toolkit. Little tour, everything that I tend to use on a daily basis up here. Not very organised, but it's like I know exactly what everything is. So like magnetic tray there with magnets and spark plug sockets, my pick tools, you know, the clip pliers, oil filter, removal tools, brushes. Next one down, if I can close it, another less frequently used stuff, like a breaker bar from the back of a car or something like that. Exhaust pliers, Torx, Allen bolts, keys, whatever the hell you want to call them. That one, a crow's foot, 50mm, because I was trying to take the differential off my 135i. A few other bits in there. This one here, I think I've kind of not really used this one that much, but this one I've got some hub sockets, 12-point hub sockets in there, brake piston wind back tools or pushback tools, and a few timing tools when I did the my missus Fiesta cam belt. This one I use a lot more than the other two, the two above it. Torque wrenches in quarter, I've got 3/8 which I'm going to pack away in a minute, and a 1/2 inch. Hex bits for gearboxes, triple squares for VAG stuff, and a few other extraction tools like easy outs and whatever else. Different type of oil filter removal tool over there. And the final one is just some pry tools and some gloves and some 3/8 extensions which I had to go and buy as a one-off. Then in the racking over here I've got all of the kind of ad hoc different oils, leftover ones that I've got there, some coolant over there, lubricants and anti-seizes, brake fluids. Down here is all variations of cases, so I've got like what have I got here? I've got bearing pullers, bushing tools, I've got the Milwaukees, I've got injector pullers, loads of stuff. I've probably forgotten half the stuff there, to be honest. This one I don't really use at all. This is my dad's one, leftover parts from when I took this room over and stole it from him. And my brother's Cupra 290 back box, sorry, centre res, that he took out, and now he's got a freaking Asbo car, which you can hear from a mile away. On this side, not a lot to see really, apart from drain pans, jugs and filling tools. There's a brake fluid pump there. Again, loads of Infinity Wax products over here, different stuff. I've got snow foam, I've got glass cleaner, I haven't used this Sonax stuff in ages. It's like an old school thing I used to use, and just bought in 5 litres and haven't touched it since. I've got citrus pre-wash, I've got interior cleaner, everything basically in 5 litres because it's just easier. Small compressor down there, and I've got it hooked up to currently an airline, but I've also got in somewhere over here a tyre puncture, I can't even speak, a tyre pump, and then I've got some shelves here which I use for power tools and a few other random miscellaneous bits and bobs. Torx drivers in there, and then these are the low profile ramps. I've got the high profile ramps over there for bigger cars. I think that's like a 300mm wide ramp, and it's quite high up, but I get a lot of low profile cars like the M4 you saw, and a lot of hatchbacks these days are quite low, so these ones are perfect for the job. I've got my trolley jack over here, and that stuff is just central heating for the opposite room. So that's basically what I'm working with so far in here. And I think, oh yeah, obviously I've got the 2 axle stands up here and some chocks, but for what it is, I think I've made quite good use out of it. But I cannot wait to get myself into like a proper unit and then watch how everything basically just looks empty, because I haven't got much tools in there. So yeah, looking forward to that day where I can pick up the keys to my new unit. So gotta keep grinding. But anyway, let's get the rest of these little bits and bobs packed up.